Raymond Webster retired as rector at the end of February 2012, and Terry Hyduck was named the interim rector after he left. She was the first woman to be in charge of the parish. We'd had several women assistants under Ray Webster, but had not before this had a woman in charge of the parish. Also, she was the first openly gay, lesbian, etc. clergy person in the parish. She had done a lot of work as an interim rector and seemed to feel that her duty was to get the parish to change things that weren't the way she liked them. And she put a lot of pressure on to get the parish to give up morning prayer 2 Sundays a month and have the Eucharist at the main service every Sunday. But this was something that many members of the parish did not go along with, and she realized that it was a change that she could not make. Danielle Thompson, who had been the assistant under Ray Webster, stayed on for a few months, but then got a call to another parish, and Kevin Goodman came as assistant. And he was particularly good with the church school, and one interesting thing about him was that he stayed on with us several years, and in 2014 he had a book published called A Disney Monastic, and it was about visiting Disney World and the ties in that you could find with that and the monastic life. A seminary student from the University of Chicago Divinity School, Eon Birch, came to St. Chrysostom's in about 2013, and after he was ordained, he stayed on. Both of the assistants were also openly gay and in single-sex relationships. In the fall of 2013, the new permanent rector was called the Reverend Wes Smedley. Walter Weston Smedley was his full name. He had been rector for 9 years at a church in Northern Virginia, and before that assistant at a church in Philadelphia. And interesting background, because on his parents' side there were ties to the Quaker tradition. He graduated from Williams College and from Yale Divinity School and was married with 3 daughters. And a item that I think is worth noting is that all 3 of the children went to the Chicago Public Schools. This is the first time this had happened at the parish, and it speaks both to changes in the attitude of the parish and to the great improvement in the public schools in the neighborhood over the years that the parish has been here. His sermons were very good, and I think it's safe to say that he is probably the only rector in our history that in a sermon mentioned the old vaudeville routine, who's on first. And he was also very good if you were talking to him pastorally. I had occasion to do this on more than one occasion, and he would listen and was very helpful and did very well on this. not long after he came, with the issues of refugees coming to the United States, there was feeling about this pro and con, and we had a vacancy in housing in the parish house, and the former sexton had retired, and his successor didn't live on the premises. So we had a vacant apartment, and he, with vestry approval, got a Muslim family, husband, wife, and 2 children to move in. The husband was a chef, got a job at some place, and he took people in the parish who wanted to go with the Muslim family to the mosque in the Loop that has services on Friday noons, and I was sorry I couldn't go with that group. He continued the Neighbors in Need monthly dinner at church. Ray Webster had started this for people who were homeless or lived at the Lawson House or were streetwise vendors. And the point was to have a sit-down, pleasant social dinner, not just hand out free food. And they had it in the gym, and it was had continued to be very popular, and he has supported this. Also, from the Webster years, a ministry that continued was the parish ties to the 2 congregations in Chiapas province in the Diocese of Southeast Mexico. Diocese of Chicago and the Diocese of Southeast Mexico are in a companion relationship, and this had been set up when Ray Webster was rector, and Wes strongly supported this. He was not able to go every year, but he went as often as he could, and would pray people who were going on the trip that year. He would pray for them at the service the previous Sunday, and he would ask for people to make donations of picture books sometimes, because the people were being taught English, and adults as well as children could read the simple English in the board books. And a very nice story about that was that one Sunday, when the people were going up to be prayed for and came back to their seats at the end of, I went on that year, and a man who I had never seen before, his first Sunday at the parish, asked about this because he had lived in Mexico, and actually in the town where we always stayed, and he stayed on at the parish for some time, and he went on the next mission trip to the area, which was very nice. There were a good many small group discussions and small group Bible studies scheduled. Lenten observances nearly every year were weekly dinners hosted by someone in the parish for a small group, and then there would be something that each small group would read and have 6 weeks of discussion on this. 2 historic events that took place during Wes's tenure. Mary Ellen Christie celebrated her 40th anniversary as head of the day school in 2014. And there was a party to celebrate this. They had it, I believe, at the Racket Club. Very nice event. She retired that year, and Judy Carraher, who had been her assistant, took over as head. And in 2018, the 125th anniversary of the parish, had a big parish dinner at the History Museum with a benefit auction. And there was also later in the year a special private tour for parishioners of an exhibit at Newberry Library that was relevant to the parish history, with a docent going along. And that year also we began a capital campaign, and among the things in that campaign was moving the kitchen from the second floor down to the first floor, where it would be more convenient for the neighbors in need dinners. And there were also some remodeling of the day school and church school rooms in the basement, and various other projects. Work is still going on this. Several assistants were here during Wes's tenure. Eon Birch and Kevin Goodman both remained on the staff. Eon left at the end of 2015, accepted a call to a parish in Milwaukee. And it's interesting to note that single-sex marriage became legal, and he and his partner were married first in a civil ceremony at City Hall or somewhere, but then a little later a small service at church that the families of the couple came to. He left at the end of 2015, and Kevin Goodman remained on into part of 2016, but became assistant at St. Matthew's in Evanston. He'd done quite a lot of work here at St. Chrysostom's on church school and children's programs, and he was hired as assistant because of that skill. Heidi Haverkamp was the next assistant to come. She had been in another parish in the diocese and was looking for something that had a little less responsibility, because she was also interested in writing. And after about a year at St. Chrysostom's, she decided that she was called to write rather than to serve in a parish, and so she stepped down. She had written a book relating to the C.S. Lewis Narnia stories, and we read and discussed that with her at one time when she was here. Jehan Murray Smith was her successor, and she had graduated from Fisk, was black, and was ordained deacon but not a priest, and married Jason Henderson while she was here at St. Chrysostom's shortly after Easter in 2018. I remember I was able to serve on altar guild for that service and was very pleased to do so. She accepted a call to her Church of the Holy Spirit in Lake Forest in 2019 and has since been ordained a priest and I believe is still there. Her successor was Peggy Lowe, Asian background from California, and she came in the fall of 2019 and stayed on till spring of 2022. She was very good about keeping members of the parish informed about others in the congregation that needed to be prayed for, and every month or so she'd send out a list to quite a number of people of some of the people we should be remembering. She had a male friend in Austin, Texas, and at the end of February 2022, she resigned from St. Chrysostom's and moved to Austin to become rector of a parish there. We also, in addition to our assistants, benefited from the service of two other priests. Sam Portaro, who is the retired chaplain at the University of Chicago, moved to the area near St. Chrysostom's and is described as theologian in residence in the bulletins, and he quite often takes part in the services and sometimes will preach. The other priest that we have, a priest associate, Reverend Conrad Selnick, who has done some pastoral counseling and also has, I think, run some of the Bible studies and also assists in worship services. In perhaps 2020, though I'm not precisely sure of the date, Will Bouvelle, a seminarian at the U of C, was given responsibility for the Sunday school and children's programs at church, and he came and was ordained deacon December 2021 and priest this past June, and is staying on through the interim as our assistant. He is noted for having, with some other people in the diocese, worked to develop an anti-racism program, which he presented this past spring at St. Chrysostom's. Very good program for both adults and children. Wes Smedley had a health issue in late 2018. He needed heart surgery and was for 3 months at the Cleveland Clinic. And the Reverend Roger Furlow, who was the retired head of Bexley Seabury Divinity School, filled in during those 3 months and did the services with the assistance of others on the parish staff. The church did very well in dealing with the issues relating to COVID-19. Worship and the various study groups and programs were available on Zoom for several months. There was no in-person worship. It resumed again briefly in the fall of 2020, but then had to stop again and picked up again, and so far is continuing. But the services could be accessible, and you could see them at home if not in person. And on Christmas and Easter, and I think occasional other Sundays, if there wasn't a service in the church, the clergy would be on the steps of the parish to, at the end of the service, to distribute communion wafers, which I thought was a very good thing. And we did very well about preserving continuity in a time when things were very difficult. One major issue that came up in 2021 that highlighted an area in which Wes was not strong, and that was in dealing with the parish as a whole. He, after some discussion, I think, with the vestry, came up with a drastic change in the service schedule. We'd had services at 8, then a children's service at 9, and the main service at 11. And he consolidated the two later Sunday services, having them at 10 instead of 11, moved the 8 o'clock service to 7:45. There was a Bible group that met after the 8 o'clock service, and this continued to go on, and then until the service at 10. All other adult programs were held after instead of between the two, so after 10 instead of between the two services. The coffee hour was very much downplayed. There had been comments not long after Wes had come. People wished that he would come in and give people a chance to talk to him informally during the coffee hour, and this never really happened, and there was a considerable feeling after this the new service schedule was proposed, and he asked for comments, and most of them he would say, that's a very good point, but then would go on and but we can't do it this way. And this really set off a lot of people, and unfortunately quite a number of former regulars stopped coming on a regular basis, which was unfortunate. Wes, after 7 years, was entitled to a sabbatical, and he had not taken it after 7 years, but in the first 3 months of 2022, he took the time off. And when he returned at the end of March, he sent out an email to the congregation saying that he had, during the 3 months of his sabbatical, come to realize that he was not at this time in his life called to parish ministry, but to working with those whom he called on the margins of society, and would resign in at the end of June, and he took a position with St. Leonard's House for former prisoners, and this was partly liaison with the group to other faith communities, but some actual working with the St. Leonard's people themselves. And a member of the of the vestry, not the congregation too, but the vestry member, who was also a member at the Saddle and Cycle Club, planned a party for him there the afternoon of June 5th, and then 3 weeks later, the 26th, was his last Sunday, and they had a bluegrass music concert and lunch afterwards, supposed to be at the courtyard, which might have gone better. They had to move it into the gym because of the weather. The bluegrass was a little noisy, but it was a very nice luncheon and a nice way to say farewell. Not too long before he left, John Bankhurst, the senior warden, had announced the successor, the interim rector of the parish, who is the Right Reverend Wayne Hoagland, who had resigned as Bishop of Eastern and Western Michigan because he had admitted to an extramarital affair. And John noted that parish, this might seem strange, but the parish leaders felt his experience might be an asset to the community, to help us be more open about places we fall short and catalyze new conversations about our identity, heritage, and future. And he's been here such a short time, I can't say too much, but he is more low-key, and I think has so far made a good impression. And we are also very glad that Will Blueville has remained on and will be with us at least through the interim. They have chosen the co-chairs of the search committee, and probably, certainly by the end of the month, we're told that the names will be announced, and then the parish will be going through the survey process, and the review, the committee will review the candidates, and so on. And so we look ahead to a new era, and we don't know what it will bring, but we hope that it will bring blessings. That's it.